Iron Chad. Chadmonius. Iron Chadwick Boseman. Cladominus. The Fatterpillar. Whatever you want to call it. This is likely to be the most hyped ship release in Star Citizen in 2026. For good reason. It has huge amount of storage on the inside. It has a protected storage area that you can actually lock down, which is a new feature. Protected storage is something that I would appreciate. I don't know about you guys, but there, like a lot of times to let people on your ship, sometimes you just don't want people to touch something, and it can be very, very tempting to touch something. Trust me, I know. You leave a fire extinguisher out, I'll grab it. If you're a friend of mine, keep your fire extinguisher in the protected storage, okay? But that's going to be useful. Another really, really, really big part of this ship that people love is this open ceiling. No other ship in the game has this so far, and it really shows a focus on what actually matters for cargo hauling. We just talked about the whole B, the whole series is focused on external freight so that you can more quickly load and unload it. But one of the biggest problems with a lot of these ships is like you can't easily get stuff out of the ship when you're trying to transport it. This makes it very easy. You can have a Argo ship over the top, tracked beaming stuff off and over to the side. As long as you got a crew, the Ironclad's going to be very good for you. But that's not all. No, my friends, that's not all. There's also a really, really big feature being worked on for this thing called the command module. We saw this talked about. It's actually planned for the 4.8 roadmap already. We know it's coming in 4.8. That's why we know that the Ironclad is coming at that same time. The command module is actually what is essentially a detachable ship that can connect to either the Caterpillar or the Ironclad. And if I could find, here we go. It docks or undocks to your ship. It can come and go. It has quantum travel, life support. I don't know if it has any weapons, but it's got thrusters. It can head down to the planet side to land. Obviously, in a big ship like the Ironclad, you don't always want to waste your fuel on going down and landing on the planet. Having a little runabout already attached to your ship is beautiful for that. Besides that, though, it also has got the ability to transport things to and from the ground. It's got I think a repair. The repair deck might be on the Ironclad Assault, which is a variant that's meant more for attacky pew pew. Fight. All you violent folks out there, they got a variant for you on this. We'll get to that too. Carries 2,200 SCU. Crews 1 to 6 people. That means you're going to have beds so you can get some buffs. 120 meters in length. This is a home in space, dude. You could literally have this be your space station out in space, your home base, for you and your friends. You can have small ships that come in and land and allow you to drop off your loot or your cargo or the things that you're finding, salvage, whatever it might be. Take off and go out and do more stuff. Another friend comes by, does the same thing over and over. With persistence, this is going to be crazy cool for like a group of 6. I would say if you've got you and a couple friends, you could probably pool your resources together and grab one of these in game when they come out and not have to go back to cities or space stations anymore. Let's look at what they had to say about it, though, because there's actually the devs were pretty excited about it.
Ships, it kind of builds on what the Caterpillar brings, but in a much larger form.
The Drake Ironclad is a 6-person multi-crew armored freighter. A large proportion of the ship is dedicated to the cargo bay at the front of it, which has both a front ramp for loading and unloading cargo and small vehicles on the ground, as well as a retractable roof for doing that in space with EVA as well.
Little tight entrances to cargo ships doesn't necessarily lend itself to when you're out in deep space and you're trying to quickly move some cargo from one person's ship into your ship. Really, you want as much kind of access to be able to do that as you possibly can. So by having this kind of much larger opening on top of the ship, it allows us to kind of bring cargo in much easier.
So its role being a sort of armoured freighter comes from 2 distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armoured roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a Hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect it with the Ironclad.
It's also more heavily armoured than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more
I also
security.
want to point out here, this was, I think, the very first video CIG ever did where they literally went and made animated concept art, with visuals, with audio, with the whole shebang. Like this was a marketing blitz for this ship, and it worked. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be able to sell this ship, but they came out with this one swinging. They really wanted this one to hit, and I do think they're probably going to come out swinging with it the exact same way when it's coming to the game in May. I think this is the biggest one of the year, but maybe the Galaxy beats it. Maybe.
You can load it from the outside, but then protect it with the Ironclad.
It's also more heavily armored than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more security to your kind of precious cargo.
The exterior is very classic Drake brutish styling, a whole lot of engines and a lot of framework and quite thin structural elements support the rest of the ship. Very bare bones styling. It doesn't have lots of nice padding. It's all there and exposed, and it's really just sort of rugged and to the point. So the Ironclad is really three distinct areas. You have all the accommodation in the rear sort of third of the ship. The front 2/3 is really just this cargo bay with the front entrance and the retractable roof. And then you have the command module, which has seats for the crew, plus a few little jump seats for everyone else. Command module is there to steer the ship when it's attached, and the command module serves as the escape pod as well. The only time you really want to detach it is in an emergency. It's not designed to be your sort of primary ship flying around.
It kind of gives you a little bit of a get out of jail free card if you're transporting stuff that is quite valuable, quite sought after in maybe some of our less desirable systems. What it allows you to do is kind of have a little bit of security. So if you're getting attacked or you're getting yourself into trouble, if you want to save yourself, you can kind of jettison your cargo and try and get out of Dodge and kind of get out to safety. And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the recent tech that's come online, this brought us one step closer to implementing command modules properly. So not only will you see this detachable command module feature on the Ironclad, but as well it will happen on the Caterpillar.
Interior-wise,
that's a key. He sneaks that in there, but that is important. This is a big tech advancement, which, as is being noted in the chat, will probably lead to quite a few glitches. And I'm thinking that might actually mean, I was going to say maybe they would test out the command module in the tech preview, but I don't think they want to ruin the surprise of the Ironclad with that. I think the tech preview is probably only going to be used for anything that can like break the game fully, and this would just be a problem mainly with these ships. I'm sure there's going to be weird quirks with this, having a ship that attaches to a ship, but it is setting up the relationship of parasite crafts. That's really important. We need to be able to control other ships with our ships. If you look at something like, say, the Crucible coming out, these sorts of abilities for a ship to be docked and kind of serviced and controlled by other ships, I think is a big tech hurdle that they want to get over. And I imagine this command module stuff is going to help with that. So you can see this is another kind of ship that has a big module that it carries around and it can dock and undock to, and needs to be able to transfer power over to whenever that connection happens. So I'm sure this is the kind of thing that they needed to make sure was working after resource networks, after physics grids transformations, after docking, after all kinds of stuff. And it's probably not a coincidence that with this change, we are also seeing the docking improvements that are assisting refueling. They're definitely trying to hit as many things as they can at a given time. Working on the Ironclad obviously gives them a chance to do some more tech stuff. Ironclad owners dropping their main modules for other planets side in space. Dude, how crazy would it be if Drake was actually starting a series of ships that's based off the command module? Like, what if the Caterpillar was the first, and then like the Ironclad is just the second? What if they keep making more ships, and instead of it being different ships, suddenly you're a baller if you got a command module, because you can just connect to all kinds of really useful Drake ships. Like, imagine a large-scale space combat focused ship. I think this is still a little bit, this feels like it's a little focused on ground stuff. ground assaults and things. Imagine a more space-focused Drake ship that's meant to combat like the Perseus or something, and it also has a command module attachment. That'd be sick. This is where they get to the interior, which is actually pretty interesting.
Onto the ship, you can either enter via the command module, and that takes you straight into a kind of corridor section. It's kind of like almost like a mezzanine. You can either go up to the habitation area, which is top floor of the ship, gives you like super nice views out both the kind of cargo out the front and the rear of the ship, or you can kind of come down the ship into the main habitation area. Alternatively, you can enter through the dock and collar airlock, which is on the opposite side of the ship. At the rear of the interior of the ship, we've kind of got the heart of the engines. It's the big kind of engineering area where we've got all of the kind of main functional components needed for moving such a large ship. And then if you kind of come slightly further forward, got we call it the kind of like the command deck. It's not a bridge, you can't fly the ship from it, but it's where you operate the tractor beams. It's where it kind of gives you good views out over the front and into space. You've got the tractor beam turrets, but also, visually you can kind of stand in this area or sit in this area and look out over the front and over the bow of the ship and kind of really see what you're trying to pull in or what you're trying to capture.
Dude, I love that. I really enjoy the camaraderie feel of multi-crew ships in Star Citizen. I don't even have to really be doing too much. Just seeing other people working in vicinity of me really gives such a sense of like constructiveness, there's something to working on a bigger goal with other people and having these sorts of almost, I want to call it level design. Let's be honest, this is a level. The Ironclad is no doubt going to be used as some sort of a boarding mission. We're going to have to fight pirates, probably steal stuff off of ships like this. Every ship that releases to us is also an NPC ship that acts as a level, that acts as a set piece and a mission, an objective to get to for a meeting, even something we could find in Squadron 42. So even besides just the teamwork stuff, I love how much interesting, diverse space there is in these spaceships to explore and experience.
Into your cargo hold. As we come downstairs, we've got a little kind of covered area at the rear of the cargo hold, and that is where you can store a couple of small ground vehicles or some of your equipment for moving vehicles and cargo around. And then you're into the main cargo hold of the ship, and this takes up the majority of the interior space, is this large cargo hold. One of the things that we were kind of really keen to do was give lots of different views and different angles down into this cargo hold. Again, as we're exploring slightly less lawful systems, we wanted to give the players as much opportunities as we can to kind of be safe aboard their own ship. So either side of the cargo hold, we've got these gantries that run completely front to rear on the ship, and they give great view down into your cargo bay. They also give that opportunity of if there's someone tries to board you via the cargo bay, it gives you some nice cover opportunities.
I always like that in the Reclaimer missions you can run.
We've also got a few little windows that kind of look down into it as well. As you move to the kind of like the very front, the very nose of the ship, those gantries lead into a kind of secure cargo area. It's somewhere that's a little bit more difficult to get to when you kind of enter the ship. The big thing we were referencing when we were looking at it was this idea of police evidence rooms. And so these kind of individual cages where you could put your most secure cargo, whatever it might be, in this area, and it would make it quite difficult to try and breach in or out of that area. So it gives us just somewhere a little bit more secure for kind of smaller cargo items. Finally, at the very front, we've got access to one of the main turrets and the tractor beam turret.
The biggest attraction for me with it is just the versatility of the cargo space. From a good citizen law standpoint,
a cool ship.
It is.
And then there's the assault, huh?
The Drake Ironclad Assault. Compared to the base ship, this has been...
Right, they didn't have the name for it before.
At the time of recording, we're also exploring a more military-themed variant of the Ironclad. Doesn't have the name yet, so we'll just call it the Drake Ironclad Assault. Compared to the base ship, this has been developed to support ground assault operations. It has additional turrets covering the upper and lower surfaces to provide more fire support. And the front section of the cargo area has been redesigned to enable our largest vehicles in game to be deployed from it, such as the tank. In addition, the cargo
more
bay
ground
has
oriented.
been reduced in size to facilitate a onboard repair facility. So for those of you who want
The
to
repair
have
facility
a
is going to
journey
be
in the cargo
key, though.
profession, traditionally you would start out in something, say like a Hullay. The next step up from there really is sort of into Drake Caterpillar territory.
Or Hull B.
So you're doing roughly an 8 to 10 times jump in cargo capacity. From there, the Ironclad sits nicely between those smaller ships and the much larger bulk carriers such as the Hull C, and then ultimately you get to things like the Hull D, E, and Kraken at the end of the cargo career.
We're not even touching on that today. We're not even touching on that, but the Kraken's next year. We've got that on the ship tracking list right here. Probably, maybe we'll see it updated at the monthly report this week. We shall see. But yeah, that's the Ironclad. Probably one of the biggest releases this year, but not the only one.